Hello guys, welcome to Major's Garage. This is Suelo Almeida. I'm the crew chief for the Formula 1, Formula 3 and Formula 3.5 here at Major's Garage. We're gonna do a lap here today. This is the first lap, the first week of the Formula 1 at Silverstone. So I'm gonna do, this is a race lap with no DRS. About 30 kilos left and the soft tires. This is my second stint. So it's a good lap, not forcing anything, just trying to have a pretty decent race stint without overdoing the tires for a good tire management. Okay, so let's go straight to the first lap, to the first corner. The first thing here about this very quick corner is that we definitely cannot do that flat out. We have to lift. It feels like we have to brake, but you definitely don't need to. What you need to do is to have a pretty safe entry to the right spot. You definitely need to hit this curb, maybe even a little bit more than that. So you guarantee that you're gonna have a good line for the second part, the left-hander. So timing is key for this car because it's so fast and the lines are so tight that if you miss the line by a little bit of time, you end up seeing yourself in trouble. So what I do here is my setup is quite low, so I know that I have to be careful with bottoming out at the curbs. So here I actually lift over the curb so I can have a little bit more track, so I can have better line, but I don't lift completely when I am over the curb. I lift slowly and then I start lifting a little bit more. Actually, not even so much here because we have softs and the track is quite good. But as you can see, I'm not lifting completely, and definitely, and this is the key, definitely not lifting completely over the curb or braking over the curb, because that will make the front tires, not the front tires, the front axle hit the ground, and the car slightly understeers just when we want to turn, and if that slightly understeer happens, we may end up losing the line. So not lifting completely here and not turning too much. As you can see here, I'm turning quite quick, but not too quick. I'm trying not to cause understeer by turning too abruptly on the front tires. And then as soon as I get over the apex, I get back full throttle here. Let the car run a little bit here, then bring the car slightly to the right, but immediately bring it back to the left. What you want to do is to be very close to these this last square here, the red square. That's gonna be my second apex, and then you can go flat out here, but you have to be careful not to go too wide to the right. It's gonna make it difficult for the braking zone for the next corner. And also, if the car, if you turn too abruptly to the other side, you can see I'm turning quite gently to the other side. If you throw the car to the other side, sometimes it may oversteer and you have to lift a little bit just to be sure that you're not spinning to the left here. So after you come here, I try to prepare my car for a good straight line braking, and then when I'm braking, I'm definitely on a very straight line here, so I can really stop the car. This car has a lot of downforce, so you can brake as hard as 95%, even though I'm using the high pressure pad here, the brake pad. I am starting to brake at the red, this is definitely not red, at the green area here, just before the actual curve begins. Brake pretty hard, I downshift pretty aggressively, but I don't downshift immediately. I actually brake. You see that I wait a little bit. Let me go in slow motion. I brake. Wait, and then okay. Now I'm going to start downshifting. 6, 5, 4. So I start downshifting a little bit later into the braking zone. I don't start downshifting immediately as I brake. So I brake, then I downshift. So I start turning in at around 4th gear, but then I keep downshifting. I go down up to 2nd. I want to be very close to the sausage curve here. It's my checkpoint actually, to be very close to this area. Then I want to already start carrying a little bit of throttle here at this first apex. It's very important that we don't delay the throttle application here, because we want to have this very small but important transition between the right-hander and the left-hander to accelerate the car into the other side. So we accelerate and we already bring it a little bit to the right, and then we brake again slightly early. It's easy to overshoot this corner and have a bad exit, but this exit is the most important thing because you're going to carry all of that speed through the entire straight that comes after. So braking slightly earlier, try not to be too aggressive with braking, not to lock up the front tires. This really makes the tire less time into the race stint. The soft tires are very sensitive to locking, so be very careful with that. And then again, same thing, I try to get back on the throttle. When I'm still over the curb here, I waited a little bit too much. Maybe I could have gotten back on the throttle a little bit earlier, but I was maybe a little bit too quick, so I had to wait. But ideally, my checkpoint here is the end of the sausage curb to get back on the throttle. So quite, as you can see, every time we upshift, we lose a little bit of traction. 1, 2, 3. So we're upshifting 3 times here, and we can see by the skid marks that the car is actually losing a little bit of traction every time we upshift. So we be very careful with the upshifts. That's where it's dangerous, and that's where you can actually spin if you are too aggressive on the throttle while upshifting. So be careful with that. And also be sure that you're staying on the outside here. So when you start turning to this area, you have a wide line and you're able to go flat out through this little corner. Okay, going to this next corner, I start braking a little bit before the 50, and I start braking actually in a straight line. As you can see, I start braking for a little bit of time on a straight line, quite hard. We can brake as hard as that here. Maybe we can even go to 100% brake without locking, but that would be too fast. You have to brake to 100 and then immediately start releasing the brakes. And then as soon as I start releasing the brakes, I turn in, I turn in, I turn in. My goal is actually to be around this second square here. So let's see how well I did that. You see, I can actually go a little bit deeper here, but this was a quite safe approach for this. This is a race lap. And then, oh yeah, this is very, very, very important. When we get to this apex, we want to accelerate the car and not really worry about bringing the car to the left here. What we want to do is actually accelerate the car as much as possible here, and you let the car stay to the right, and then you want to turn quite early and maintain the car on the inside for what would be the first apex of a double apex corner. So this is how I approach the corner here. I turn quite early, and then I let the car go wide a little bit because I'm carrying a lot of speed, and then I wait a little bit more and it will come back to the second apex. The second apex will be closer to where this last, or I think it's fourth. The fourth red square is. This is where I consider my second apex. Then again, very careful with the upshift here while getting back on the power. Then for cups, same thing from the T1. We need to be careful not to brake too hard over the curb here, because when we start turning while the weight is transferred all the way to the front, we end up bottoming out and the car understeers or doesn't turn as well or as predictably as it could be if you don't brake over the curb. So as you can see, I'm lifting, I downshift, I even blow some air on the brakes here, just a little bit, feathering the brakes, and as soon as I realize that I'm very close to those red squares here, I punch the throttle. So let's see that in slow motion. I start turning, I lift, no brakes. Now I can brake a little bit just to control the direction of the car, to make the car not understeer, and then I get back on the throttle. As soon as I am not completely sure but confident that I'm not going to get enough track here. We get enough track here if we put the 4 tires over the green part. So this is quite close, I would say, given the speed that we are, not to get enough track. Now for Maggots and Beckets. So what I really think about here is to carry as much speed as possible without running wide on any of these corners, because we're always getting out of one corner and already getting ready for the next one immediately. So the exit of one corner is going to be the entry for the next, and you have to always be thinking about how your car is going to be positioned for the next corner. So here I'm already thinking far ahead. I'm already thinking that I need to bring my car as much as possible to the right here. As you can see, I'm not maybe even close. I want to try to put my car here at the middle of the track, but carrying as much speed as possible. This is the best that I've done here, but it was enough to bring my car well to the left here, thinking about the next one again, about the last one. As you can see, this time I'm a little bit more to the left than the middle of the corner, and then I a little bit of more brakes and thinking about getting my car on this last square here. As you can see, I missed the curb a little bit. We can use a little bit more. Be careful though not to put the tires on the grass, because that will give you a very, very, very bad slowdown. But yeah, this was a quite decent exit. It's very important that you think about getting back on the power here at these 3 squares, so you can carry this extra speed through the entire straight that comes after. Very, very, very important. And then for this one, my braking reference is right when the curb begins, the same not red, the same green area here before the actual curb. And then I brake quite hard, not too hard though. You can see like 50%, and then immediately I start releasing, slowly releasing my brakes as I turn into the corner. I want a late apex, so you can see I'm not turning quite aggressively. I'm not turning aggressively to the corner. I'm slowly increasing my steering input until I get my car very close to these 3 squares again. These always represent the apex. And then I get back on the power here. We need to trust that getting back on the power will make the car rotate a little bit more. Maybe not too much. Here we can spin if you are very aggressive on the throttle. And then for the last corner, my braking reference is the 100, but I don't brake at the 100. I always brake a little bit before. As you can see, I'm starting to brake here, around here. Maybe on the qualifying trim you can brake slightly later because you have less fuel. But yeah, for race conditions, I'm braking slightly earlier because there's a bump here. As you can see, these tire marks right now are because of the bump that are making my tire actually lock up. So it's very important that we take care not to lock up too much. So I brake and then immediately start releasing. You can see that while in other corners I brake almost like 95%. Here I'm braking 75. Maybe, yeah, even on the beginning I'm not braking too hard because I know there's a bump here, so I am not braking too hard. And then I really wait the car to slow down on a straight line, and then I start turning. I don't actually have a turning point. I start turning at the end of this curve here, but I'm already looking up there. I'm already looking at the curb, the sausage curb, because I want to be very close to it, like this. And then on the change of direction, I want again to be very close to the second one, and then I accelerate and let the car go wide to the 3rd sausage curb. This is the most important of those because this is the one that if you are close enough, you're going to be able to put a lot of power down to this last corner here. And yeah, there you go. This was a 1:29.155. I hope this will be useful for you guys, and see you next week. Bye.